Mary, thanks so much for taking the time while you're in town to come on Faith in the Struggle and telling your story. It's pretty amazing. That's what we're going to kind of try to draw out of you. Is what God has done in kind of not a whole lifetime, but a lot of struggle. Really starting as a kid. But first, you are you have a house in Alaska, but you are taking the year to drive around with your husband and kids, and Daisy too. Daisy going?
Yes. Daisy is going with us.
So what are you guys doing? Driving around just for the year?
Just for a year, yeah. We're going to, we're homeschooling the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so being able, because Ben is retired from the military, we're able to
You have some income and all
have
that.
income and everything. So we're able to travel with the kids and go to historical sites and do school with them. And like if they want to learn about the Grand Canyon, we can go there and then they and see it in person and interact with it and do their homework. I think it's like a big bonus for them.
What are you going to do when they're doing astronomy, though? Are you going to take them to on Elon's, jet or his space shuttle or something?
We're gonna.
He's like, military money ain't that expensive. All right. So you and I go way, way back because you were living with the Grisoulas family, who's been part of our church for, we'll say, a while, and actually, your mom, adopted mom, I guess. Deb was actually on one of our first episodes because of the loss of her son, in the struggle that she's had with that. But so how old were you when I have trouble remembering. You were in our youth group, so you were like a teenager.
Yes, I believe I was like 14, 15.
Yeah. Okay. So I was just I wasn't.
You were
on
the
staff.
youth.
I was just a youth leader, right?
Yeah.
And, not even the pastor at that point, right?
No.
That would have been quite a while ago. So
that was a long time ago.
So, yeah, it's as I said to you the other day, it's such a testimony, as we'll talk about, of God's faithfulness, because man, I was like, I always loved you. You're just one of the best. But I always thought, man, she's just never gonna learn Jesus is the way, and that's just stupid, because none of us really learn. It's not really about our own efforts. It's really about Him, right? So tell us a little bit about like what brought you to Haft, because obviously Deb brought in a lot of foster kids because she worked in the system and everything. So what happened in your life that caused you to have to go there?
So me being put in the foster care system was kind of, in a roundabout way, like my choice, because I refused to go back to a home where my biological father, I really try not to call him dad because he's not that to me.
Yeah.
Where he was extremely abusive. And I think my breaking point with him was literally when I came home from staying after school to film a basketball game. And he beat me. Like, literally, kids tend to exaggerate sometimes. Like, oh, my parents beat me. And they're like, oh, you mean your parents spank you?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
But no, he was very abusive. I thought I broke some ribs with him with that beating, and
What was the reason? Not that there's a good reason. You were late or something?
the reason was he didn't want me to stay after school.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, but my argument with him at that time was I signed up to be part of the crew that films the games. And he was, in a roundabout way, he was trying to teach us about commitment. When you commit to something, you have to stick with it.
Yeah.
And so I kind of used that against him. And I was like, you told me that if I committed to something, I have to follow through. I was like, 2 of the tech people are sick. It's just me and 2 other guys. And we're not even going to have like our 4th camera going because we need that guy in the tech room. So I have to stay. And he doesn't like being contradicted. That was a huge, you don't talk back, you don't.
Who was in the household? Just him, or was there siblings?
It was him, my 2 older brothers, and my younger sister at the time.
Are they biological
Yes.
brothers? They're not step or anything?
No.
Okay.
So
He abused them as well?
yes.
Or? Okay.
Like, it got to the point where even my oldest brother in his 30s, like when I was out of the house,
Sure.
he would still bend over and let our biological father spank him with a belt.
Oh my gosh.
So
Wow.
it was just, he wanted that psychological hold on the kids.
Yeah.
And he wanted people to listen to him. So, I mean, needless to say, when I found out he passed away, I was not sad.
No.
And I mean, I feel guilty saying that because there was a time, even though he abused me a lot as a child, and in fact, he drowned me a couple times and
Drowned you?
drowned me. So he tried to teach me to swim. So he threw me in the ocean. And I did not know how to swim.
That's a great place to learn how to swim. The ocean.
Yes. And so I would sink
There's an
to the
expression,
bottom.
thrown into the deep end of the ocean. Well, the deep end of the pool, too. Either
Yes.
one, I guess.
He took it literal.
Yeah.
But, and I remember him doing like CPR on me. And it was one of the few times where I actually got to like kind of leave my body and look down. And I was just like, oh, that's sad. And then all of a sudden I was put
How
back
old
in.
were you? Probably.
I was probably about 8, 9 years old.
So an 8, 9-year-old girl has an out-of-the-body experience because you could potentially be dead because you were drowning.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I've had a couple of
Needless
those
to say, that probably
moments.
took its toll on you emotionally.
Emotionally and physically, it's just like kind of something like people tell you like you don't experience that a lot.
Yeah.
Where like if you tell people you see something or something happened and because of this resulted, and they're like, well, maybe you were oxygen deprived, maybe you were like something else happened and you thought you saw it, but you didn't really see it.
Yeah.
And so I've dealt with that. And he, like, just the abuse that I suffered as a child, like, I think I could have handled that a lot. But it was the way he abused us that was the issue, because everything that we did had to go into the Bible.
Oh.
So he took the Bible and he basically used it as a weapon. And his favorite saying in the house was, spare the rod, spoil the child.
Yeah.
And so, and it didn't help that he was an extreme racist either. But he married my native mother.
Where were we living?
In Alaska.
Okay. All right. So this was Alaska.
So,
Okay.
yes.
So did he go to church and?
No.
Okay.
So he was baptized and raised Catholic
Okay.
here in Massachusetts.
Okay.
But he moved up to Alaska. He tried to basically do his own compound.
Wow.
He wanted to be like Abraham and have many wives with many children and the middle of nowhere and live off the land. So
That's what led him to go to Alaska.
yes.
Okay.
And also being secluded had that sense of there was no one there to help. Like you're on your own. And I think that let him have the freedom to run the household how he wanted without any repercussions from anyone.
Yeah.
So dealing with that, it was
So the introduction to God for you was that.
yes.
So being resistant to faith and Christianity.
Well, I was constantly told as a little girl that I was going to go to hell
Yeah.
because I was Native.
Because of that?
Because I was Native. Because he had married my mother, who was not a believer. And he had us. And even though he was introducing us to the faith, he always said, the sins of the father are passed down through the children. And so we are born of sin and we are sin. And because of that, every night we had to pray for forgiveness for our sins.
Which was being Native?
Which was being Native.
Even though he's the one that
That made us
impregnated
yes.
in a Native.
Exactly.
That's okay.
You couldn't make it. Like it didn't
None of it
make
makes
sense.
That never makes sense with all that nonsense.
But with him being the way he is, I mean, to him, I think it made complete sense that like it was our fault.
Right.
And
To him, it made sense.
and like
So there's
if-
emotional manipulation, there's spiritual abuse,
Yes.
and physical abuse.
yes.
You pretty much, except for the sexual, was that too.
So he didn't do it, but I had an older half sibling who sexually abused me when I was a child, all the way up until he was kicked out when I was like 8, 9 years old. So my earliest memory actually is of being sexually abused.
Oh my gosh.
And when like the abuse got so bad one time, because he didn't just abuse me, he abused my 2 younger sisters as well, because our parents would leave us alone in the house.
Right.
And it was a constant.
How much older was he than you?
Oh, he was like 10 years older than me at the time. So he definitely knew better.
Sure.
But he liked to torture us when he would abuse us, because that was his thing. And
Torture was his thing.
yes. And one time it got so bad one time, and like he had a knife and he carved on my back, and I was just like in such excruciating pain, but then I felt nothing. And it sounds weird to say, and it takes me a while to understand. Not a lot of people are going to see it this way, but I literally saw an angel, and she came down, and for any other words that I could describe it, is she picked up my soul from my body, and we could look down, and I could see myself lying there. And she was like, "You don't have to be here for this." And I was just like, okay, like but look at what he's doing. Like, if you could pull me out, can you pull him out? Like,
Right.
And she was just like, "We don't have to be here." And I remember she floated me up in the corner, and then we flew out of the house, and I spent the night up in the stars with her.
Really?
And I don't, like, after he started cutting my back, I don't remember anything after that. And then when she brought me back, he wasn't in the room, and my body was still laying on the floor. And I was just like, "Don't put me back. Don't put me back."
I don't want to be back. Yeah.
And that time she didn't say anything. She just laid me back down into my body. And I cried.
There was obviously then your body had to have had pretty bad markings. Did that get seen and noticed by somebody?
So because we were isolated, we were also homeschooled. But
even your
they
father
didn't. No.
they didn't care?
So I was told by my brother that if I told our parents, they wouldn't believe me.
Yeah.
And they would take him and leave us kids there.
Yep.
And at that point, I went to my birth mother and I told her what was going on. But she sat there and she's like, "It didn't happen that way. You're not allowed to say that." Which scared me, because I was like, "Oh my gosh, now she's going to leave, and now everybody's going to leave, and I'm going to be on my own." So I learned not
Was your
to
birth
say
mother
anything.
still in the house, or was she?
Yes.
Okay. So she was afraid.
Yes.
Doesn't get excused
So-
at all, but
But she also got abused a lot by my birth father as well.
yeah.
So, and I think what hurt the most is that when she left, she didn't take all of us with her. And then when Bob married, I say married, but he got together with my birth mother's best friend and had a couple kids with her.
Okay.
But when that all happened, it was, we don't talk about anything that happened before.
Right.
So I was being raised, you don't talk about anything
Why
bad
did they
that
eventually
happens.
kick the sexual abuser stepbrother out?
Because he was full native.
Not because he
And-
was abusing my dog.
No.
No, because he didn't hate it.
Because he was fully native.
Yeah.
And Bob just was like, yeah, he's old enough to live on his own. So he kicked him out.
Well,
And it wasn't
praise
until
God for that.
Yes.
Had he had stopped, or was that when it stopped?
That's when it stopped.
Okay.
Was when he got
About
kicked
how
out.
old were you then?
I was about 8, 9.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
growing up in that environment, it made me, if anything, even though the scriptures were being used against me, as a child, I still held on to that hope
What do you mean?
that like God was real, that he would take me away from there.
Yeah.
And seeing angels and having those out of body experiences, I was constantly like, there's something else out there. I can hold on to that. The breaking point for me, where I think I was like 11 years old and I turned my back on God, was when Bob left Maria, which was my mom's best friend, when they broke apart, and I went to her and I was like, if you leave, take me with you. Like, I don't want to be here. Can you take me with you? And she was like, I'm not going to leave, Mary. I will still be here. I love you guys. I'm here for you. And she's like, you need to believe that. And I was like, okay. And then I woke up the next morning and she was gone. And I sat there and I thought in my head, I was like, I'm unlovable. No one tells me the truth. There's nothing holding me here anymore. And I literally suffocated myself. I stuck my head in my pillow and I held my breath, and I could feel like my lungs burning. My eyes started, like my head started pounding and throbbing. And I was like, I need to breathe, but I don't want to be here anymore. I was like, I don't want to be hit anymore. I don't want to be abused anymore. Like, I just want out of here. And I literally suffocated myself. And that was the second time I saw an angel. And I want to say this one was a male, because he showed up, and the only way I can describe him was that he had armor on. And I went up to him, and he was standing over my bed, and I had a bunk bed. And we both looked down at my body, and I was like, I'm ready to go now. And it's not like words were spoken to me. It was more of thoughts. Like, I knew what he was saying, but they weren't words spoken out loud.
Okay.
And he told me, it's not your time. You have to go back. And I was like, no, I don't want to go back. I cannot go back. I was like, do you not see what's going on? I was like, I can't endure this anymore. I'm done. I'm done. You can't make me go back. And he was like, there's a bigger purpose. And you need to go back. And I remember crying and looking at him and being like, don't make me go back. Like, don't make me go back. And he picked me up and he laid me back down. And it was like I watched as I was laying down, my body was flipped over and I took a breath, which was extremely painful.
I'm sure.
And I sat there, and after I was done coughing and everything, I looked up at the ceiling, and I was like, because that's where I saw the angel.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I hate you. You're not real. God is not real. I give up. And I just, like, from that point on, because to me, God wasn't someone who loved you.
Right.
He was someone, like, I did something wrong. Like, to me as a child, I thought I did something so wrong that he put me in this body to be punished.
Right.
And there was no going, and I was like, I don't even know what I did. And if you're punishing me for something I don't know what I did, then I don't love you and I want nothing to do with you. And so from that point on, it didn't matter that scriptures were being read to me, that I was still being punished because of things that I was doing wrong that, like, I wasn't allowed to do in the Bible. I was just like, nope. it didn't matter.
How did that affect how you behaved?
I lashed, I lashed out a lot. I was like, there's no consequences for anything. Because to me, people could do whatever they wanted and they get away with it.
Yeah.
So to me, there really wasn't a complete sense of right or wrong anymore. It was basically a free for all. So how I acted was, if you didn't like it, too bad. Go somewhere else. And if you wanted to be my friend, that's fine. But if you ever question me, there's the door. Like, I'm not holding you here. So I had the sense that, like, I was on my own. And if you wanted to be a part of my circle, you could be. But if you ever questioned me or you tried to put me on a different path, I'd just be like, there's the door.
You just hyper defensive at that point.
Yes.
You'd been hurt
I was like,
so bad by people who were supposed to care for you. So
exactly.
everyone stays at a distance,
Yes.
Yeah.
So I put,
including God.
especially God.
Yeah, especially God.
Especially God. Because I had witnessed his miracles and I had witnessed. And I think one of the turning points where, like, I still wanted to believe in God, but it was hard for me, was I witnessed my biological father murder my baby brother. So the last baby that my mother had was a home birth. He didn't believe in hospitals. If you got sick, like, God was punishing you if you got sick. And so you had to stay home and heal.
How old were you when your baby brother was?
7.
So you were 7.
And I witnessed, so my mom gave birth in their bedroom, and I woke up to her screaming, and I was like, oh my gosh, the baby's being born. Like, I'm excited. And I snuck up to their bedroom, and I was looking through the crack, and one of my mom's friends, Marilyn, was there. And she was telling my mom to push, and I was like, oh my gosh, the baby's coming out. So then my mom had my baby brother, and it was confusing because Bob picked up the baby and he's like, it's a boy. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's another little boy. And Marilyn was like, okay, Harriet, we're going to wait a couple and then I want you to push again. And for me, being a little kid, I was like, there's 2 of them? Oh my gosh. We're going to have 2 babies.
Right.
Not knowing that, like, oh, you have to push out the placenta, like
Right.
all that other stuff that goes on.
Yeah.
And I remember Harriet being like, oh, can I hold the baby? And Bob was like, no, I'm going to go clean him up first. And I was like, oh, they're coming out. And he came out of the room with the baby. And I was like, can I hold him? And I remember Bob looking down at me. And he was like, you're supposed to be in bed. And I was like, yeah, but I heard Mom and I want to be the first one to hold him. Can I hold him? And he's like, well, he's really dirty. And I remember looking at him and seeing the baby covered in blood and in fluids and thinking he was just like the most beautiful baby ever. And I was just like, okay. He's like, I'm going to clean him up. You can hold him tomorrow morning with the rest of the kids. And I was like, okay. And he took him through the kitchen and I followed. Because in my mind, I was like, well, you know what? If I say I have to go to the bathroom and he's coming out of the bathroom and he cleans up the baby, then I could be like, oh, well, he's already clean, but can I hold him? Like, super persistent. And I went through the pantry and he filled up the sink full of water. And I was standing behind our washer and dryer set that we had just gotten. And so my head was like peeking around and I just watched as he looked at the baby and just stuck his head underwater. And I was like, okay, well, he's going to pick him up and he's going to clean him off. Nope. He held his head underwater and I watched as the baby started kicking and frailing around, and all of a sudden, like, you have that fear of, oh my gosh, he's killing the baby.
Right.
And it wasn't until the baby stopped moving that he just calmly picked the baby up and started cleaning him off. And I was just like, oh my gosh, if he sees me, he's going to kill me.
Right.
And I turned around and I ran out of the pantry and into my bedroom, and I climbed up into my bed. And at the time, all us girls, there were 3 of us, we were all sharing a big bed at the time. And I just climbed back into bed and I laid there. And I was just like trying to calm down because like I could feel my heart beating on. And I was just like, oh my gosh, what if he comes to check if I'm sleeping or like what's going on? And then the next thing I know is he brought the baby into the room and I could hear my mother start screaming. Like Harriet, she just started screaming and crying. And then I started crying because I knew why she was crying.
Mm-hmm.
And the next morning, Bob was crying and he was just grabbing all of us kids and hugging us. And I was terrified, so I just hugged him back.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, God took away the baby. We don't know why he called him home, but he took away the baby. And I sat there and I was like, but I thought you did it.
Mm.
Like,
Did you say that to him?
No,
Yeah.
I did not.
Yeah.
But like I sat there and he was like, we're going to bury him in our yard. And I think what was awful was that he put the baby in a shoebox. And he was just going to bury the baby in a shoebox.
Hmm.
And I was like, wait. And I ran in my room and I grabbed a little blanket and I grabbed my favorite beads that I had made into a bracelet. And I ran out and I was like, we got to wrap him. And so we put the blanket in so he would stay warm because he was going in the ground. And then I put my bracelet with him. And Bob was like, why? And I was like, so he has something to play with in heaven. Because at that time, I still tried to believe. I still wanted to believe.
Yeah.
And so we ended up burying him. And we didn't give him a name.
What was your mother's? Do you think your mother knew what your dad did?
She did. She tried to go to the courts to dig up the baby and to prove that. Mm-hmm. But he fought her. And then he wouldn't tell the courts where he buried the baby. And so finally enough time passed where they were like, even if he drowned the baby or if he suffocated the baby, there's no way to prove that. So we're not going to dig up a corpse on the property to find this out. And
at the time when you're burying the baby, was your mother just kind of, was she?
She wasn't there.
Where was she?
She was in the bedroom.
Okay. Because
she had just given birth and everything, and she couldn't move. And
what about her friend Marilyn? Did she know what happened?
Marilyn suspected.
Yeah.
But as soon as they were done with the birth and everything, Bob kicked Marilyn off the property. Mm-hmm. And so, like, he didn't allow anyone to get any medical attention.
Yeah.
So, and it was at that point, too, where Harriet left him. So, a lot of things happened, and I think it shapes you as a child. One way or another.
Yeah.
And I lived through everything that I lived through, and I kept thinking, someone else out there has it worse than me. I was like, at least I get to eat.
Not many.
But,
but yeah.
I was like, I get to eat. I mean, I get to play outside sometimes. And it was hard, but it was the only thing that I knew.
Yeah.
And so I think going from that to then Bob was getting charged with attempted murder in Alaska because he ended up actually beaten his girlfriend, who I thought was my stepmom at the time, so badly when she was pregnant, because she was threatening to leave him. And us kids, we weren't allowed in the house, but we were playing hide and seek. And I won that game every time because I hid where I was not supposed to. I would hide in the sewer under our house. No one wanted to go in there.
No, I'd let you win.
I would hide under our porchway, which was only like this big. And so I would like force wiggle all the way down there and like kick through the dirt, and I would hide there and put grass in front of me and no one could find me.
Wow. Yeah.
And so I decided that I was going to hide in the house behind our wood pile. And I would just chill in a nice, cool house while all the kids were outside playing in the heat. And I just remember they were fighting about her leaving him. And he was just like, you can leave, but the baby can't.
Okay.
And she was pregnant. And he just started wailing on her.
Oh my gosh. You witnessed that while you were hiding.
And she got knocked down to the ground. And I remember she looked up and saw me, and I went to go climb out, and she was just like, no. Like, no. And so I stayed hidden while he kicked her in the stomach, and he punched her in the face. And then afterwards, he's like, now you can leave.
Do you ever ask the question, I'm sure you have, but I've wondered why it seems like you were just randomly a witness to these things, like the other siblings are either asleep or hiding somewhere else or whatever, but you just always seem to be in this place where it's bad enough to experience what you experience, but now you're witnessing murder, attempted murder.
I think everyone knew what was going on.
Yeah. But
My sisters...
No, but to see.
Well, my sisters, they were abused as well. We all witnessed each other getting beat by my father. We witnessed him, like he didn't care if the kids saw what he did.
Right.
So we all witnessed him beating our birth mother. We've all witnessed him beating our stepmom. And it wasn't abnormal.
Right.
It was just like, oh, she shouldn't have talked back to him. Oh, she should have delivered his plate faster, and now it's cold. So yeah, I get why he's hitting her now.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like
It was what you knew, like you said.
no one else saw it.
Yeah.
It was just, we just didn't question it.
Yeah.
And I think it just got to the point when I hit 14 and he beat me so bad when I came home. And he told me...
the worst beating you feel like he gave you, or?
No.
Okay.
But it was one of the top 5.
Okay.
It was one of the top 5.
The rankings, I got you.
Where I laid there on the floor, and he was like, if you ever disobey me again, he's like, I will kill you.
Yeah. And you're 14 now. So.
And I was just like, well, I've witnessed him kill the baby. I've witnessed him beat my stepmom and try to kill. And at that time, I believed he had killed the baby because he had told us that she had the baby and that it died. And it literally isn't until 2022 that I found out I have a little sister that I've never met and who probably won't even ever know me.
Yeah.
And like, that made me happy because I'm like, he didn't kill the baby. She's alive and she's living.
She never had to meet him.
And she never had to meet him. And so I have that hope there.
Yeah.
But like when he beat me, like I was like, she's dead. The baby's dead. And
why wouldn't I be dead at some point?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to leave before that happens. And I literally went to my room, packed up a backpack, waited till everyone went to bed, and I snuck out the window and just went to my friend's house. And I was just like, nope, we're out of school for a week. And I think that was actually Thanksgiving break.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't call, he didn't look for me, he didn't tell anyone I was missing. I went to school, and he ended up calling the police and telling the police that I had a gun and that he was scared because I was mentally ill and that I was going to shoot up the school. So they put the whole school on lockdown, and we're all sitting in class. And I was like,
You were just staying with a friend?
Yes.
Did the friend's parents know why you were there?
No,
Okay.
because in high school and middle school, friends just stay the week over all the time.
Okay.
Like, I stayed at my friend's house at the time. Her mom was single, and she worked a lot. So she was just like, you're having another friend over?
Yeah.
Fine. Here's some money for pizza.
Yeah.
Clean up after yourselves. That's all I ask.
Right.
So I was like, you're like the best parent ever.
Right. Right. You don't murder people and abuse me. So.
Exactly. You just go to work and you give us money for pizza.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
that's top tier right there.
That is. That's Mother of the Year.
And so I ended up going back to school, and
So then there's this lockdown. Did the police come and get you?
yes.
Yeah.
They came into the classroom and with the principal, and they're like, Mary, we need you to step outside. And everyone was like, ooh. And I was just like, oh gosh, like, what happened now?
Yeah.
And the principal was like, we need you to go open your locker, please. Like, show us which locker is yours. Mm-hmm. Okay. I went, I opened up my locker. Immediately, the police officer pushed me aside and started going through my backpack. And he found my clothes and my toothbrush. And the principal was like, Mary, do you have any weapons on you? And I was like, what? No. And she was just like, okay, well, we're going to go down to my office and we're going to talk. Okay. We're going to sort this out. And I was like, okay. Mm-hmm. I was like, can I have my backpack and stuff back? And the officers were like, I'm going to carry it down for you. And I was like, okay, as long as you have it. And we went into the office, and there was Bob. And he loved this cowboy hat. I don't know why. But whenever he went anywhere, like where he wanted to seem important, he would wear a cowboy hat.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going back home with him. Mm-hmm. And my principal was like, well, that's your dad. He's here to take you, because if he doesn't take you, then the police are going to take you. And you have to go get a psych eval done in Worcester. And I started crying. I was
You're
like,
back in Massachusetts now?
yes.
Oh.
So we traveled. He left the States when he was getting charged with attempted murder. Oh. And he was basically told if he ever stepped foot in Alaska again, he would get arrested.
Okay.
So he fled Alaska, went through Canada, and then ended up all the way back in Massachusetts.
Okay.
So this actually...
I was wondering how it ended up, because you were in foster care in Massachusetts.
Yes.
Okay.
So then we traveled for a year, and we ended up back in Mass.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So you were like, police can take me. I don't care.
Yes. And the police were like, well, we're going to call an ambulance for you. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. And I remember the paramedics, they were like, well, because we got the call that you threatened the school with a weapon, we have to tie you down to the gurney. And I just started crying. I was like, I'm not crazy. There's nothing wrong with me. And so they Velcroed my hands to the gurney, and they Velcroed my feet. And the medic in the back, he took my blood pressure and everything. And he goes, well, you're a little elevated. And I was like, okay. Yeah. I don't know what that means, but okay. And he was like, so what's going on? And so I told him what was going on and what had happened to me. And he was like, that's crazy. Then why did they say that you were a threat? And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, if I take the Velcro off your hand, you're not going to try anything, are you? And I was like, no. So he untied me, and I crisscrossed on the gurney. We sat and we talked while they sped into Worcester.
You don't want to give him a quick fake?
No. I think I was so stressed at that
course you
point.
were.
If I had thought of that, honestly, I probably
You
would
would.
have.
I know your sense of humor, but I could understand in the moment where
I
that's
was
not.
just like,
You were so thankful to not
I
be.
was just like, you're not tying me up. I'm good now. And when he brought me to the hospital and he took me out of the back, he looked at me and he goes, I wish you luck. And I was like, thanks, I'm going to need it. And the doctor did their eval and everything. And they're like, so you have a high blood pressure, your heart rate's beating a little faster, but everything you, like, the questionnaires you answered are all fine. Like, you're fine. You can go home. And the police officer was like, so your dad's here to take you home. And I was like, I'm not going home. You cannot make me go home. And they were like, well, if you don't go home, you're going to end up in juvie. And that's not a place you want to be. They're like, people will tell you what to do. You'll only get 3 meals a day. You won't be able to watch TV. Like, it's going to be a prison for kids. You don't want to go there. We send a lot of bad people there. And I was like, I'd rather go there. I don't want to go home. I was like, if you send me home, he's going to kill me. And if I'm going to die, I'll die by my own hands, but I'm not going home. And the officer was like, I don't know what to do. Normally kids are like, I want to go home. I don't want to go to juvie. And now we have this little girl here that's saying, I want to go to juvie and I definitely don't want to go home.
What do you think that means? She ain't lying.
Well, I think they tried to scare me.
Yeah.
And so,
Well, because a lot of times kids are going to lie or they're going to exaggerate.
yes, exactly. And so when I went, they took me to a lockdown place and I was strip searched. And they didn't allow me to take a shower that weekend. I was put in a room that had 4 bunks, but thankfully I was the only one in it. On Monday, when I had to go to court, my hair was all disheveled. I smelled bad. I was like 3 days, no showers. Like they wouldn't give me anything to like brush my hair or do anything because they were just like, no, like you're going to court like that. They brought me, I had to talk to a public defender and I told him what was going on and I was like, I'm not going home. And he's like, listen, this is a simple case. All right, you just apologize, you go home, case is closed in 3 months. And I was like, no, I'm not going home. So I told him everything that had happened, everything in the past that had happened. And he literally sat there and looked at me and he goes, what? This is going on? And I was like, yeah, I'm not going home. And he goes, okay, nope, you're not going home. And that's the first time I ever told anyone what was going on where they actually listened. And they were like, oh my gosh.
This is the public defender.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was like, I believe you. And then to add insult to injury, going before the judge, they decided, I don't know if it was the police or if it was the request of Bob, but they put me in shackles. They had my legs shackled. They had my hands shackled. And so you see this smelly, rundown teenager in chains walk into a courtroom. And then on the other side, you see a well-dressed
What's going through your
man.
head when that happens?
That it wasn't fair. That I did not deserve this.
Right. Right.
And literally the person that was putting me through it was so put together that I was like, no one else is going to believe me. Like all the judge is going to see is a problem child. And a parent that's trying to love their child and their child is being disobedient. Because that's all I was trained to think. That's all anyone would ever see me as, is a disobedient child. And it was actually the judge, when she went up to her bench and she looked over and she saw me, she freaked out on everyone. And she was like, why is this girl in chains? Why are there shackles on her feet? And the officer was like, well, it's so she doesn't run away because we're told she's difficult. And she was like, no, take those off her right now. And I just remember being like, oh my gosh.
I wonder if having a female judge helped.
I have no doubt that it did.
Yeah.
Because she was absolutely sympathetic. And she was just, she looked at me and she tried talking to me and she was like, so can you go home? And my lawyer was like, no, we are not sending her home. We're going to do a home evaluation. We're going to make sure it's safe. We're going to give her, if anything, he was like, Your Honor, 3 months apart. We want 3 months apart. And then we can reevaluate from there. So he was fighting for time.
Yeah.
And the judge was like, okay, we're going to grant that. But that means you're going to end up in the foster care system. And I was like, yes, that's fine.
Right.
And so,
It's going to be hard for it to be worse.
yes. And I was just like, no, I'm not going to do it. Like, anything is better than that place. And I ended up getting placed with Debbie and Rob. And of course they got me, and I had one bag. And that was it. And it was right before Christmas. And we didn't celebrate Christmas as a kid.
Right.
And
Can't have fun. Can't do
no.
anything that's good.
no. And I was just like, well, we celebrated the Sabbath and Hanukkah, but we didn't do presents and we didn't do birthdays.
It's always the
So-
cults. Cults always do that.
Yes.
That's
They
so
make
strange.
everything more religious than anything else.
Yeah, but it's
And as long as it benefits them,
right.
then
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I remember my first Christmas, and this is actually why I love Christmas so much. And like, you could ask my husband Ben, and I like Christmas time. I just like have Christmas everywhere. But Christmas morning, I stayed downstairs in my bedroom, and I was like, I'm gonna let everyone else open up their gifts and celebrate their Christmas, because I don't celebrate Christmas.
How long had you been there? A couple weeks?
Not even a week.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was literally like
Yeah.
right before Christmas. And I think Monique came down, my mom's daughter, and she came knocking on the door, and she was like, Mary, you got to get up. You got, like, it's 9:30. It's time for you to get up. And I was like, laying there, and I was just like, all right, is breakfast ready? She's like, no, we're waiting for you to open gifts. And in my head, I just sat there and I was like, wow, these people are crappy.
I'm going to have to sit here and watch them open the gift.
I'm going to watch everyone else open up these gifts, and I'm going to be the only kid sitting there. I was like, wow, that's kind of really mean. I would have never thought of that. But I mean, what else is different in my life?
Another level of mean. Just deal
It's
with
just
it.
different.
Yeah.
So I went upstairs, and I sat in the corner, and Debbie gave me a Christmas sock.
Christmas what?
Sock.
Sock. Yeah.
When they handed out their socks to everyone, I got a sock, and I sat there and I just looked at it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And she embroidered the letter M on it for Mary. And she did all this with less than a week.
Yeah.
And I sat there and I was like, I'm going to be so, I am so thankful for this one gift. Even if I get no other gifts, I don't care. I have something that's
Care about
mine.
me. Yeah.
And I was like, she put like nail polish in there and CDs and like an iTunes gift card and everything. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so thoughtful, and hair bands and stuff that I didn't have before. And then after we did that, she started handing out the gifts, and she handed me a box. And I was like, what? Another one?
I got a sock with an iTunes card.
I was like, oh my gosh. And I opened it up, and I believe it was a wolf sweater, and I still have that. But I was like, look it back. I was like, she listened to me. Like that whole week, she was asking me questions. What's your favorite animal? A wolf. Well, guess what? Now I have a wolf blanket that I got for my birthday. Like, and I have a wolf sweater that I got for Christmas. And she was like, well, do you like any musical instruments? And I was like, I always wanted to learn to play the guitar, but like, I don't have a guitar. And that Christmas, she went out a week before Christmas for someone she didn't even know. And she bought me a guitar. And that was my big gift from her, was the guitar. And I sat there, and that is the first time in my life I felt like I belonged. But I didn't belong. I was just put there. But I belonged. And these people were listening to me, and they actually gave me gifts. And I was like, this is what it feels like to feel loved.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what to do with it.
Of course not.
And I was like, okay, well, now I have to be careful, because if I say something wrong, if I do something wrong, if I don't do what I'm supposed to, they're going to get rid of me, because everybody gets rid of me.
Right.
And that's how it was. And it wasn't long after that, I think it was like a month later, they had planned a trip to like go to Florida or something. And so Debbie was like, okay, you're going to go to another foster home for a week. And I immediately shut down.
Yeah.
I was like, I knew this was going to happen. I don't know what I did, but I knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I brought my Walkman, I packed my backpack, and she was like, we're coming back for you. And I was like, yeah, right. Okay. Like, I don't believe you, but yeah, okay. Whatever you say to make yourself feel better. And she drove me to another foster mom's house. And she was like, we're going to come back. And I was just crying in the back seat. And on the way there, she pulled over to the side of the road, because I was just crying so hard. Because I was trying to play in my head, what did I say? What did I do wrong? Like, I don't even know if I can fix it, because I don't know what I'm apologizing for. And so she tried hugging me and everything, and I wouldn't let her hug me. I was just like, no, you're doing this, and I don't know why.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was because they couldn't afford another ticket at that time.
Right.
It was, and plus with a new kid in foster care, you can't just pluck them out of that state and go to a different state either. You need to have permission. Like, the other parents and agencies need to be involved in that. But did I know that?
Of course not.
I was just like, nope,
Another person's abandoned.
you're abandoning me. Like, you showed me love, and like, everyone lies. It's all a lie. And I was miserable at this other person's house. I refused to eat. I refused to clean. I refused to give up my Walkman, because they're like, no music down in the basement where the kids were sleeping. And she had motion sensors in the basement. So like, if I sat up in bed, she'd yell down the stairs, and she's like, you guys are supposed to be laying down. You're not supposed to be getting up. You're setting off. And I was like, wow, this is like a prison.
Yeah.
I really don't care for this either, but I'm going to listen to my music. And I would sit in the window, cry, and listen to my music. And then I found out that she actually called Debbie and was like, I'm scared. She's not eating. She's not drinking. She's not listening. Like, she's disrupting the household. I'm worried she's going to, like, is she on suicide watch or something? And so Rachel actually came back early and picked me up.
Wow.
And when I found out that she was there to pick me up, I was like so happy. I was like, oh my gosh, yes. And the second I got in the car with Rachel, she turns over and she looks at me. She goes, as soon as we get home, you're going to eat breakfast. You're not going to argue with me. You're going to do what you're told. You're going to clean up after yourself. If you have any homework, you're going to get started on your homework. And I was like,
Rachel was a mother.
Oh, yeah.
As a child.
I just looked at her and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
I don't care. You're bringing me home.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, I'll do whatever you want. And like, we stayed up late and we would watch movies, and it was just a fun time hanging out with her. And I was just like, okay, like, you came back for me. And I think that's why I have like such a tight relationship with Rachel too. It's because I felt like she came back for me.
Right.
And so like
She
even
represents that, even though you know the whole family.
yes, the whole family is there.
There's still an emotional thing you can't explain logically.
No.
But you have that bond because
Yes.
she was the representation of I'm not alone anymore.
Yes. And so going from there, I kept refusing to go back home to my biological father.
Mm-hmm.
And so he actually packed up all my stuff and sent it to my foster home. But when he sent all my clothes,
Mm-hmm.
they were no good. They smelled of cigarette smoke.
Mm-hmm.
They had coffee stains in them. Like someone had spilled coffee all over them and just left them there. And I remember like Debbie brought it all upstairs, and as soon as I opened it up, we were all like, oh. She was like, is this your clothes? And I was like, yeah. She was like, no. I don't even think I can wash this. And so we were like picking through and trying to see if anything was salvageable. But that was just another way of like Bob trying to control the narrative. Like, oh, she's not a clean teenager. This is like what she's wearing. And I mean, he did that so much that even like in high school, I would wear clothes that were dirty. Like I got picked on so much in high school because I smelled bad. I wasn't allowed to shower, which is a huge contrast to the way that I am.
Right.
Because even now, like, and it's funny, the church that we go to up in Alaska, when we started going and the ladies would give me a hug, they'd be like, oh my gosh, you smell so good. And I'm like, thank you. Like, oh my gosh.
Huge compliment. Yeah.
Like, it's the little things that you think like don't matter, or like offhanded comments that like someone really takes to heart. And so just going from that environment to the Grzoulises, it was a huge contrast. But it was such a contrast that I didn't know what to do. And
also they're believers.
Yes.
We're going to church.
Yes.
And you got that, like, that's bad.
Yes.
Like God hates me, or if he doesn't exist or whatever. But
yes.
His family's awesome and they seem to believe in him. What was that like that you remember now?
It hurt more than anything.
Yeah.
Because it was such a contrast to like the evil that I grew up with, to them being like, we believe in
we have a dog here. A little bee.
Like, we believe in God.
Yeah.
And he is love and he is goodness. And he wants you to sit there and be like, you mean I could have grown up like this? In a roundabout way, even though it wasn't them, I started to resent them.
Yeah.
I started to resent the relationship that Mom had with Rachel, because I didn't have that relationship at all.
Yeah.
With either my birth mother or the lady that was supposed to be my stepmom. I did not have that relationship. So I resented that. And I started to resent the relationship that Rob, Debbie's husband, had with their kids. Because I'm like, here is a loving father who's trying to do the right thing, who's patient and kind and understanding. And you mean to tell me, like, if God is real, he could have put me in a home like this, but instead he put me in a home like this. So even though you would think, okay, this is amazing and this will make her believe, I was like, no. If anything, it pushed me further away.
It's understandable. Yeah.
And I actually, at the time, there was another girl living in the house named Rachel as well. And she knew, like, my stance on believing in God. But she was just like, you know what? If you get baptized, like, no one will make you go to church anymore. Like, and you won't have to go, because there'll be that leeway, like, oh, you're saved and you're fine. And I was like, seriously? And she was like, yeah. just get baptized and they'll leave you alone. So then I came to the church and I got baptized. And I was just like, yay, you dunked me in water. Okay, I'm good. Yes, I believe, even though I didn't. And I was like, nope, I'm good. And so I ended up just leaving that alone. And it worked for a while. If I sat there in the morning on Sunday and I was like, I have a headache, I don't want to go to church.
Yeah.
Mom was like, okay, you don't have to go to church. And I was like, oh, great. They dunked me in water and now I don't have to go to church. Like, that's all they needed to see.
Yeah.
But I just started to rebel left and right. And it didn't matter what Mom said or the advice she tried to give. I would do the opposite. And I was like, you know what? There's going to be a breaking point where I'm going to do something and they're going to stop loving me. Like, I fell back on that.
Was testing
Yes.
that? Yeah.
It's like when you have a kid and they push the boundaries with you as a parent and that you're like, don't touch that. And they're just slowly putting their hand closer. Like, how far can I go before like you really snap? And so that's what I was doing with them.
Do you think, looking back now, that you truly didn't believe in God because of, or you were just partly did and were just so angry?
No, I think if you had asked me when I was a little child if I believed in God, I would have told you yes.
Yeah.
He was real. I saw angels. He was real. I believed in him wholeheartedly. I loved him. And I would read my Bible because I wanted to have that relationship with him. But once I cut him off, once I felt like he abandoned me by allowing my spirit to go back into my body and to tell me that like it wasn't my time. Like once I turned my back on him, I was done.
You were just done.
Because it literally felt like, okay, God, you're punishing me, but I don't know why. And no one is telling me why. Like, I ask for forgiveness and I'm not getting that. I ask for understanding and I'm not getting that. And I'm still being punished and I'm still being pushed away. And I think if you keep pushing people away or you feel like you're being pushed away, you're not going to bother them anymore.
Right.
And so I just put him in a box and I put him in a corner and I was like, I'm never opening you again. And I just left it at that.
Yeah.
And with my new family, I was just like, okay, I'm going to push you guys away before you could push me away. I'm going to leave on my terms and not your terms because I'm going to know why.
Right.
I'm going to know why we're not talking. I'm going to know why you don't like me anymore.
Hurt you before you hurt me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it led the way for me to end up with my ex-husband because he seemed to be patient and kind and said that he loved me.
How
And
old were you when you met him?
16.
Wow. I thought you were older than that.
No, I was 16. And
And how old
almost
was he?
17.
Was he older than you?
No, we were the same age.
Okay.
So, and, but I sat there and I was like, well, he's not like my birth father. He's not aggressive. Like, he's everything opposite of what I had in my life. So this must be what
bar
love
was
is like.
pretty low.
Yes. I had the lowest bar possible. It was just,
Yeah.
I mean, you could have bought me Subway and been like, I love you. And I've been like, awesome.
I'll marry you.
I was like, yes,
Yeah.
I found someone.
Yeah.
But I mean, and it snowballed from there. And he definitely isn't a believer.
Right.
And being with him, even having kids with him, it was a constant. He would mock people who believed in Christ. And he'd be like, they're idiots. And I'm like, all right, people are allowed to believe differently. Like, you don't have to mock them. I don't mock them. And I could be the biggest mocker out there with what I've lived through.
Yeah.
But I'm like, people are allowed to believe what they want. As long as they're not hurting other people, I don't
Yeah.
care.
Right.
And that's how I ended up raising my 4 kids. I was like, I don't care what you believe. I don't care like who you marry, what they believe. As long as you're a good person.
Don't hurt anybody. Yeah.
And as long as you don't use that to hurt others, it doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
you could be a Buddhist, you could be a Muslim. I don't care.
Yeah.
They knew about Christ. I took them to church a couple times for like Easter and everything when they were little. But even taking them to
When did you?
church.
Because you moved to Alaska with. No, you didn't move till you got
No.
divorced, right? You were in.
Correct.
You
So
were
I
in
was still
Massachusetts.
here.
Yeah.
I actually left here in 2021
Right.
to go back to Alaska.
Because I remember a couple of times you needed to do some community service hours.
Yes. So being with my ex, I did a lot of stupid things. And
Why
one
do you
of them,
think you did that? Not that there's an excuse always, but I mean, if anybody should have an excuse, it might be you.
it's no. See, even with the job that I had in Alaska, people would be like, "Oh, there's an excuse for this," and I'm like, "No." Like, I've tried to take accountability for myself because I don't want anyone to ever be like, "Oh, well, she could do this because of this." No, because people can look at me and be like, "She can be the most hateful, spiteful person, and we have to love her because she was abused."
And you're like, no.
But I sit here and I'm like, no, because of that, it's did a switch. I don't ever want to be the person that's beaten someone.
No.
I don't ever want to be the reason why someone goes to bed and cries at night. Like, I don't ever want to be the one that's responsible for someone thinking that they have to kill themselves to make whatever torture or pain I'm putting them through go away.
So do you think because of that, with your first marriage, were you a bit of an enabler to him? Because you just didn't want to, you wanted to take on more of a peaceful persona.
Yes.
Yeah.
I sat back and I let whatever happened happen as long as it seemed okay.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where even when he beat the kids, like he beat our daughter when she was 2 years old. He spanked her so hard. Her back and her butt were black and blue when I was working. And I came home and I changed her diaper and I took a picture of it and I sent it to him and I was like, this means you're hitting them too hard. You're not allowed to hit them anymore. Enough is enough. And he would sit there and he would cry and he'd be like, okay, I'm going to let you discipline the kids. I'm not going to do this. I can't hit them because when I get mad, I can't control myself. And that was a narrative that he set up for that. So I was like, okay, so when you're mad, you're not allowed to hit the kids. I will discipline them. So it turned into me constantly having to send them to the corner, me taking away their electronics, me actually spanking them if like Xavier decided to bite Rain. I was like, no, we're not having that. Like,
Right.
You're going to behave. And it changed the dynamic so much that, not that I excuse any of his behavior, but he claims that I was in charge of the house and he felt like an outsider, like he wasn't part of the family. And actually, when we separated, his biggest complaint to our friend at the time, who was our mutual friend, was that I never allowed him to do the laundry. And so he had to go out and learn how to do laundry.
I don't foresee myself complaining about my wife doing all my laundry. That's for sure.
I remember I was sitting on the phone and I started laughing. I was like, "Are you?"
By this time, you can YouTube it, buddy. It's fine.
I was like, "Are you serious?" Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was just like, there was just a surreal like disconnect from everything.
I remember because we, over those years, occasionally. It wasn't a lot, but it was a few times where I saw you and we talked about things, and I just remember him. He played video games all the time.
Yes.
and he didn't do a whole lot to be engaged with your family.
No, he preferred smoking marijuana and playing Xbox to hanging out or taking the kids to the park.
I do remember thinking and praying that God would either radically save him or split this up, because it wasn't good for you, and it was hard for you to see it at the time.
Yes.
Which is, of course,
Well,
you know.
And I mean, I also had my family who didn't want me with him, but knew that I wasn't ready to hear that either.
Right.
And I think when we finally did separate, like, I still didn't believe in God.
Did you move to Alaska right away after you separated?
Yes.
Okay.
Like, he kicked me out of the house. He locked me out. And then he threw all the kids' stuff in trash bags out on the porch, changed the locks, and was like,
You're out.
you're out. The kids are out. You're out. I don't care. So I went to Alaska because I had family up there that were like, we're going to help you, like, get you situated up here. And I was like, okay, I'll just move up there. And while we were up there, there is a camp, a Christian camp. And it's called Echo Ranch Bible Camp. And it's through the Auk Bay Bible Church up there. And they're one of the camps that do free scholarships. And literally trying to get the kids into any other camp out there. I was like, they were full. Their scholarships were all taken. And I was like, I don't want to send them to this camp. But they needed something to distract them. The kids were confused. They were hurt. They still thought we were on vacation because I was trying to shelter them from what was going on. And so it wasn't until 2022 that I started sending them to the Bible camp. And Rain and Damien went together with Raceland for 1 week. And I had actually met my husband now beforehand. And so he went with us to drop them off. And the kids were super excited to go. The younger 3 were. And when we picked them up, our daughter, she was just like, yeah, we learned all these cool songs. And we learned, Mom, do you know about Christ? And I was like,
oh,
yes. I know about Christ. Did you learn about him too? She was like, oh my gosh, Mom, he did all the most amazing things. And like, did you know, like, he died on the cross for us? And he did like all this. And I was just like, yes. I'm glad you had fun.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad you had fun. And they were like, can we have Bibles? You really want Bibles? And they're like, yeah, like, we read it, like, we want to read about him. And I was like, all right, yeah, we'll look at getting you guys Bibles. It's fine. And then it was our oldest son, Xavier. It was his turn to go to camp for a week. And the whole time we were bringing him, he reminded me so much of me. And it started making me question whether I wanted to force him to go because he was angry. He was hurt.
How old was he?
Oh, gosh. 2022. So 14?
Yeah.
14 years old. He had just had his birthday, too. So he was sitting there and he's like, I don't want to go to this Christian camp. Like, they're going to talk about God and they're going to sing and they're going to make us pray before we eat every meal. We're not allowed to have fun because they're going to do Bible studies at a campfire. And I was like, can you just try it, please? Like, just go. If you don't want, like, if you want me to come back tomorrow and pick you up or on Wednesday and you don't want to stay the whole week, I will come and pick you up. So, like, I was trying to give him that out.
Sure.
Because I was like, I really wanted him to go because he got the scholarship, which to me meant another child didn't get to go.
Yeah. Commitment. The
So
one thing
I at least wanted him to
father
try. Yes. I was like, I at least wanted you to try it. And so we dropped him off and I remember he wanted to give me a hug goodbye. And he was just like, no, like, I hate you. Like, you're making me do this. I don't want to go. I hate you. He grabbed his bag and everything, checked him in, and he took off. And I started crying, and I remember I looked over at Ben, and I was like, maybe we shouldn't make him go. And he was like, he's going to be fine. Like, you need to let him go. I was like, the second he calls me, though,
Yeah.
the second he calls me, I'm driving the hour out here to the camp to pick him up. And he was like, if he calls you, like, just give him some time. So I literally was on pins and needles that whole week. I kept checking my phone, making sure my ringer was on, and I didn't get a call. And I was like, I want to be the first one in line to pick him up. So we left super early on Friday morning to go pick up Xavier. And we drove in the line, and I was like, oh, okay, there he is. And we were actually picking up his cousin as well, and bringing her back into town. And here comes this smelly teenage boy. He refused to shower the whole week. Okay? But he came into the car, and I was like, oh. I was like, kid, like, if you're getting back at me, it's working. We're rolling down the windows. And he was not the same kid that I dropped off. The kid that I dropped off was angry, hurt, confused, mad, hated me, hated everyone. And the kid I picked up, he was so bubbly. And he was happy, and he jumps in the car, and he's like, oh my gosh, Mom, guess what? And I was like, oh my gosh, what? And I was thinking he was going to get kicked out. Like, I'm thinking he pulled a prank, and now he's not allowed to go back here anymore. And I was like, that's something I would have done. But okay. Like, what? And he looks at me, and he has this biggest grin on his face, and he goes, I'm a Christian.
You're like, well, they could have baptized you with some shampoo.
Right? Like, oh my, I was just looking at him, and I was like, what? What? And he goes, yeah, I'm a Christian, Mom. He goes, oh my gosh, why do you keep this from me? Now you're blaming me? What? He goes, yeah. He's like, oh my, and then he started talking about God and the miracles that he did and the salvation that he brings and the love and like everything that's God that he learned in this 1 week at camp. And I was just like, they're a cult.
Yeah.
All my kids now want Bibles. All the kids now are claiming to be Christians and they want to start going to church. And I was just like, oh, all right, we'll look for a church to bring. Are you guys sure you want to go to church? Like, you don't have to. And they're like, no, we want to. Mom, do you know that this happened? And they'd grab their Bibles and they'd be reading it. And I'm like, yes, I know. Like, I've read the Bible before. And Xavier's like, why wouldn't you tell us about this? And looking back now, I'm glad I didn't. And I know most people are like, I wish I had told my kids more about Christ. Mm. But looking back, I've realized I hated Christ. Mm-hmm. And I had that bitterness and resentment.
If you had said something, who knows, it would have.
I wouldn't have been able to show the compassion. I wouldn't have been able to show the forgiveness. Mm-hmm. And so by me not teaching them,
they got to learn.
They got to see not like my childhood, but they got to live through an environment that wasn't Christ-like. Mm-hmm. I kind of like growing up, I was like, I'm never going to marry someone that's like Bob. I'm never going to have like forces on my children. Yeah. Well, I married someone who was just like Bob, manipulative, abusive. And even though it wasn't to the extent of Bob, I still put the children in that environment. Mm-hmm. To the point where when God was finally shown to them, it was with love, compassion, understanding, forgiveness. And it didn't come from someone who was like, yes, God died for you. Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Yeah.
Because that's still where I was at.
Right.
And so then we started taking the kids to church. And they loved it. Xavier and Raceland started absorbing the Bible like sponges. Yeah. Rain, she has her own Bible, which she highlights when she reads it. And they're writing out the whole Bible. And they're highlighting like different words in the Bible to see how many times it's said in the Bible now. And I told Rachel what they were doing. And Rachel was like, do they know that that's already been done? And I was like, no, do not tell them that, because they get so much joy in working together
Yeah.
with the Bible and writing it out
Right.
and finding those words and highlighting them. Like, I don't want to take that away from them and be like, oh,
you learn.
we could buy this for you. It's already done.
Yeah.
It will already tell you like how many words are highlighted. So I'm letting them do that. And well, they were doing that. We were going to church and they kept asking me, they're like, Mom, why don't you believe in God? How come you don't believe in God? Like, he's such a wonderful Mom. How come you don't believe? And I was just like, you guys need to knock it off. I told you I would support you no matter what. You need to respect me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think our second son, Rayson, was worried because he's like, well, if you don't believe in God, then you're not going to heaven. Mm-hmm. And like, we want you to go to heaven. And I'm just like, yeah, that's not how it works. To me, I'm just looking at him like, I'm glad you think that. I'm glad this brings you joy. But it wasn't always used for joy for me. So can you like give me my space? And I started work at Alaska Marine Lines. And because Ben was like, you've been a stay-at-home mom basically your whole life. What do you want to do? And I was like, I want to drive semi-trucks. And he looked at me and he goes, okay, well, let's see what classes you have to take. Let's see what we have to do to get this going. And I was like, really? You're going to allow me to do that? And he's like, I'm not going to allow you to do that. You're going to do that and I'm going to support you if that's really what you want to do, which is a huge contrast.
Of course.
You'd
never run into anything like that before,
No.
right?
And I was just like, okay, you're not going to talk me out of it because I might make more money than you or something. And you're going to allow me or you're going to give me the freedom to do what I want. And you're going to be okay with that. And you're still going to support me. So I started doing that. And I got hired in 2024, January 1st. And it turns out one of the big bosses there goes to our church that we started taking the kids to. And they started doing the baptize and everything. And the kids were like, we want to get baptized. And I was like, you guys, that is like, I feel like the first time I got baptized was more of a getting people off my back. It wasn't because I believed. And that bugged me hearing the kids say they wanted that.
Right.
Because I was like, I don't want you guys to mock someone else's faith. I don't want you to think that you have to do something to prove to anyone.
Yeah.
I want, like, it's supposed to mean something to you guys. And I still had not accepted Christ in my life at that time. But I was like, this is important. So they ended up talking to one of the pastors up there, and Damien wanted to get baptized as well. And he was 7. Yes, he was 7. And I was like, you're too young to get baptized. And one of the pastors looked at Damien and he was like, well, why do you want to get baptized? And Damien, without missing a beat, 7 years old, looks up at him and he's like, because I want to show everyone that I believe in Jesus Christ.
Pastor's like, pretty much what you need for baptism.
Yes. It's just like, I don't know how, like, all the kids, they had the answers to the questions where, like, it shocked even me. And I would sit there and I was like, oh, okay. Like, and Mick was talking to the kids and he's just like, it's just not something you do to show off to people. And they're like, no, it's because Jesus told you to get baptized. And this is the kids telling him, no, we're doing it because Jesus told us to do this. And this is what we want to do to show that we're listening and we're following his word. And I'm just like, okay. So then the boys got all 3 boys got baptized. And Rain had decided not to get baptized with the boys. But then afterwards, she was like, I want to get baptized. And I was like, no. You didn't want to get baptized before. I'm not going to let you do it now. Like, obviously, it doesn't mean the same thing to you as it did to the boys. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of holding her back. And then the boys started hounding us. Why don't you get baptized? Why aren't you going to get baptized? Like, you're going to church, you're believing in Christ, like, you need to get baptized. And again, I was like, you guys need to back off. I need, like, this is something that, like, I'm not going to do just because you guys do it. Mm-hmm. And then I started thinking about it, and I was like, well, if I start believing in Christ again, but no, I can't do that. He's not going to want me back. Mm. And that's the thoughts that I started having. Mm. Like, I denied him for so long. I saw angels. Mm. I witnessed miracles. And I denied him. I turned my back on him. I grew away from him. I've made my choices. I've made my bed. He's not going to want me back. And I started thinking, there's a turning point in my life where I turned away from God, and there's no reverse button. Mm-hmm. I can't take anything back. And I started thinking this way, and I was just like, well, maybe if I do other things, if I show God, like, I'm sorry and I'm remorseful, and, like, I want to believe in him, like, again, maybe, like, he'll take me back. Yeah. And so I actually, when I was going into work, I went into one of the offices, and one of my big bosses was there, who went to our church. Mm-hmm. And his name was Adam Anderson. And he started talking about, oh, you must be so proud of your boys for getting baptized. And I was like, yeah, I guess. I'm still trying to work this out. And he's like, well, what do you mean? Like, talk to me. And so we ended up standing in a kitchen area drinking coffee. And I started telling him about my thoughts and my feelings, and how the kids really want me to get baptized, but how, like, I don't know if it's the right thing to do because of, like, everything I've gone through. And, like, Jesus calls you to forgive people, but I have so much resentment in me and hate that, like, I feel like if I let it go, I don't know who I am. Mm-hmm. And so I have to find a way where I can show God that I'm good enough for him. And I will never forget this. And it's like, and I've talked to him about this. Adam looked at me and he goes, how dare you? What? I'm sorry, what? And he goes, how dare you think that if you come back to God, that he's going to turn you away? And how dare you think that you have to be perfect for him to accept you? Because nobody is perfect. Mm. The only person that was perfect came to earth to die on the cross to cover your sins. And if you're trying to be perfect to go to him, then what was the point of him dying for you? You're telling him you're not good enough. Hmm. When in fact, you're not good enough. And that is why he gives you grace. And that's why he is understanding. And that is what you need to think about. He's like, you don't need to be good enough to go before Christ. He's already good. Hmm. And he has that grace to extend to you and forgive you. And I just looked at him and I was like, whoa. You gave me a lot to think on. And I went home from work and I sat on my bed and I started opening the Bible and actually rereading it. And Ben came in the room and I was like, you will not believe what my boss just said to me. And he was like, what? So I told him what what Adam had said. And he looks at me and he goes, huh, well, he's not wrong.
Makes sense.
And I was like, I never thought of it like that, though. So I don't know. I was like, it gave me a lot to think on. Like, I still have to think on this because now I have like these two conflicting emotions inside of me. Like, everything that I believed, everything that I was shown, like it's completely wrong. And even the things that I did know, maybe it was right and I just turned my back on it. But maybe I am worth saving. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to reevaluate my life. Like, would God forgive this? Would God forgive this? Would he be okay with the way that I am? Like, would he accept me if I went to him completely broken? And it wasn't until Easter in 2024 when we went to church and one of the deacons was up giving a sermon and I closed my eyes and I just started thinking and praying. And it was like I saw my whole life flash before my eyes. Everything that I did that was wrong, everything I did that was right, the way that I was treated, like everything. And then I turned my back on it. And then I started thinking about Peter, one of the disciples. And I'm like, he lived with Jesus. He knew Jesus intimately. He walked on water because he believed in Jesus. And it wasn't until he stopped believing that he fell through. And I had believed in Jesus, but I stopped. So I had fallen through the water. And then I started thinking again, and I'm like, Jesus loved Peter. And he even told Peter, you are going to deny me. And Peter was like, I'm never going to deny you, Lord. Like, I'm here with you. That's never going to happen. But then what did he do when Jesus was crucified? He denied him. And I started crying in church, and I was sitting there. And my husband was sitting next to me, and he's like, you're sleeping.
Anything but, right?
And I was sitting there, and I was just like, no, like, I'm okay. I'm not sleeping. Like, I'm just like, I'm trying not to lose my train of thought and like what I'm seeing in my head right now. And I'm like, but Jesus loved Peter so much. And I just started thinking, if someone like me who knew Jesus turned their back on him, saw their miracles, turned their back on him, lived through life and knew him intimately through the word and turned my back on him. But just because I didn't know him in person, does that mean like he would show the same grace to me that he's shown to Peter? Would he accept me? And that started like a whole lifting of burdens, so to speak. I was like, if someone could mess up who knew Jesus and Jesus could forgive them and take them back and they could preach his word and do the gospel for him after denying him, then surely there is grace enough for me to be accepted. And all I have to do is ask. And so it was that week I sat down with my husband and I was like, is it okay that I want to get baptized? He was like, yes, you can get baptized. Yes. And I was like, okay, like, you're not going to make fun of me for wanting like to get baptized or anything. Cause like, and he was just like, no, why would I do that? No, I think, honestly, I think that's great. And I was like, oh, okay. And so we went, and Rain still wanted to get baptized. And this time I was like, okay, you can get baptized too, if this is what you want. And she was like, yeah, I wanted to get baptized before you. And so I was like, okay, yeah, you have a point. And so we went and we got baptized together. And it wasn't like the baptism that I had before.
Yeah.
It wasn't okay, you dunked me underwater now.
Yeah.
It's it.
Yeah.
Like, I literally stood there and I was like, this is what I want.
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking for forgiveness. I want to do your will. I'm not perfect. I'm still going to make mistakes, but I want to accept you as my Savior in Jesus Christ. And I got baptized, and it was literally like the rest of everything that I was carrying that was slowly being unloaded. Instead of the rocks getting picked out slowly, it was like someone lifted the whole bag off of me.
Mm.
And I was just like, okay. And now, even to this day, like, I call up my mom, Debbie, and I was like, we're going through so much right now. Like, there's so many trials, like, with my divorce and trying to get the kids. And I'm sitting there and I was just like, no, but you know what? I just find myself praying more and more and leaning on God. Like, things are going to happen the way they're supposed to happen. And my mom's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm praying more and I'm asking God for guidance, and things will happen the way they're supposed to happen. I may not like them, but there is a bigger picture that I can't see, that only God can see. And because God can see the bigger picture, I just have to put my trust in him, even if it's something I absolutely don't like.
Mm-hmm.
Like, eat your asparagus. I don't want to. But it's good for you, and your parents are going to make you do it. You just, there's just some things that you won't understand till later on in life. Mm-hmm. And so that is now the outlook that I have, that there are things happening behind the scene, and I just have to put my trust in God. Mm. And it's brought such a peace to me that I didn't even know I could have. Mm. There is a sense of belonging, of understanding, of forgiveness that I've realized could only be found through him. Mm. And even forgiving my abusers, like that, I've forgiven them to a point where I sit back and I'm just like, God, please just still have patience with me. Because even though I can forgive them, if I dwell on them too long, I have resentment, I have hate, I have this desire to just shred them to pieces. And please understand me that, yeah, I may have these thoughts and like this way of thinking, but please forgive me for them, because you're trying to teach us to forgive. And I'm not perfect. And I think that's the greatest thing that I've taken away from watching the kids and growing in my relationship with God and having my husband by my side to lean on, and having that supportive partner that's like, it's okay to feel these ways. Mm-hmm. Like, it's okay to do this, and it's okay to forgive. Mm-hmm. Like, that doesn't mean it didn't happen. That doesn't mean, oh, I forgive you, so like we're all good.
Right.
It's you're forgiving them for you. Mm. You're forgiving them to have that burden lifted off of you. And so, and I think also having the kids see and have a dad that believes in Christ, who's walking with Christ with their mother, who's walking with Christ with the children. Like, it's just helped them bloom so much.
Oh, yeah.
And they're able to stay out of going to bed, the oldest one, Xavier, because 9 o'clock hits and he goes, I have a question, Dad, about the Bible. And if you look here, it says this, but my question is, what about this? And then he's like, okay, well, let me answer. And I'm like, it's time for bed. And he's like, no, like, this is important. Like, let me just take a couple minutes. And then 2 hours later, I'm storming down the stairs and I'm like, it's bedtime. You go to bed and you go to bed right now. And they're just like, oh my gosh, you made your mom mad. And I was like, do you have any more questions? And he's like, no. And I'm like, good, go to bed.
Tomorrow at 9, and we'll have another one.
Yes, that is exactly how it's happened. But the fact that they're able to sit there, debate, and even with our family friends, like Xavier is absorbed the Bible. The kid that was most like me, I get to see like kind of me through them. And I'm like, if I grew up like them, if I had two loving parents that believed in Christ and were raising us in Christ, I could have turned out like them. And that's healing for me.
So why? Because that's not your story, right?
No.
So why? You're not God, and you've already voiced like there's a lot of things we don't understand, but I'm sure it's something that you think about a lot. Like why wasn't that your story? What is God doing with that?
I think I've thought about that a lot.
I'm sure.
And God puts you through things not so you're in happy times all the time, but there are challenges in life. My challenge in life is my childhood and most of my adulthood. And I think going through that, it made it so it came to me, how I see it is it came full circle. My kids weren't raised in Christ, but they were born again through Christ. And it was through them that God used them to open my heart and to open my mind to him again when I had closed him off completely.
Yeah.
And so now me telling my story and about my trials, it's not like I'm comparing myself to anyone else. I'm sitting here going, this is real. This is what happened. But even though I was broken, God still used me and he healed me. And I'm telling my story so others can see that there is hope. That through Christ there is salvation, there is hope, there is understanding, there is grace, there is forgiveness.
No matter how far you've run or how much has been done to you, he's big enough.
Yes. And that he can show that to you if you just ask him and accept him.
Yeah.
And that's been my takeaway. And talking to people who don't believe in Christ, it's kind of funny because I look at them and they're like, I don't believe in Christ because of this. And I was like, that's it? That's it? Okay. Well, I can work with that. Let me tell you about Christ and what he's done in my life. And I think even telling my story, just snippets of my story to other people, it's made them open up about their past and their lives.
I'm sure.
And they're just like, I want to find a peace and I want to find an understanding. And I'm able to sit there and be like, well, that can only be through Christ. Because I still don't understand it. I still don't understand what we're all doing here. I mean, if I did that, I mean, I'd be a millionaire.
Right.
So.
Do you ever think, you ever wonder if you'll ever meet that angel again?
I have no doubt that I will.
Who said, there's a purpose for all this? And you're like, shut up.
Yes, like, it's
sure
reminded me a lot of, we don't understand the bigger picture. If I had succeeded in my multiple suicide attempts, if I had succeeded in not being here, then I wouldn't have our 4 beautiful kids. And I wouldn't have a most amazing husband. And I just think about all the lives that I hope one day I reach, and not for me, but that I'm able to help them and bring them back to Christ. And I'm like, even if I just help one person, like, I'll be happy.
And your kids are on a trajectory too. They'll probably help a lot of people. I already have, I'm sure, but who knows what they'll do.
Well,
because of you having them and being here, you know.
Well, exactly. I mean, Raceland, I'm a little more worried about. Because like I had told you the story about the trains, like he'd be willing to let the train run me over.
Well, stay away from the tracks while
and
you're here.
save 100 people who don't know Christ and preach to them. And I'm just like, what? He's like, yeah, because you already know Christ and you already believe, and I'll see you in heaven. So, but if I can preach to those 100 people that don't know Christ and bring like 1 or 2 or maybe even 5 to him, then it's worth it. And I was like, ugh. Don't go anywhere with you. I understand. I got it.
Okay. He didn't say he was going to shove you into the train.
No, he's just going to flip the switch.
He just has that perspective, you know.
And it's a great perspective to have, because it's not one that I had as a kid either. And I was just like, nope.
How about like your mom, Debbie, and like Rachel, and when they think about your journey, are they still like, or are they just like, well, that's God being God?
I think I was talking to Mom, because I call her Mom.
Yeah.
She is my mom.
Yeah.
I was talking to her about it, and I was like, oh, I'm a little stressed. And she's like, well, you got to tell your childhood story a little bit so people understand where you came from to where you are now. And because that is the glory of God. That is like, even talking on the phone with her when I was still up in Alaska and trying to rent out our house so we could start traveling, I was like, things are going bad to worse again. And I'm sitting here and I'm just like, you know what, God, it's in control. When you want us to leave, we will leave. It's in your hands. I'm willing to do what I need to do as you're opening the doors for me. And I told Mom that on the phone, and she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, who knew that I would be praying this? Because 4 years ago, if you had talked to me about God or anything like that, I would have shut the door on you. And she was like, yeah, Mary, that's amazing. And I'm like, yeah. I was like, who knew? Well, you knew. And I'm just like, yeah, but I just find myself like, when I'm doubting or anything, I just pray. And the kids, when they're doubting, they're praying. And it's like a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I'm just...
Unbelievable. But believable, because God is so good.
Yes.
Wow. Well, man, I appreciate you sharing your story, part of your story. I know maybe a book coming out someday.
Yes. I'm actually working on it right now.
And even though you're journeying, anyone who sees this, and I'm sure, wants to connect with you, we can get them in touch, and, not that you need to be bombarded with a bunch of horror stories, but you can relate in a way that others might not.
Yes. Well, and that's the thing is I find that because of everything I've gone through, a lot of people that are going through something similar or worse, I'm able to sit there and be like, I understand, and actually mean it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they can see and like read and hear of what I've been through and been like, wow, she really does understand. But where is she now? What is she doing now? And they can see where I was from to where I am now. And the journey that's brought, and see the peace and the joy that I have now. And maybe understand that, hey, there's a reason for this. There has to be.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to hear about your travels in the next year and see what God does there.
It's literally, we're just sitting here going, wherever God wants us to go is where we're going to go.
It's going to be awesome. Yeah. Can't wait to hear about it.
From that teenager angriness that was like, you can't tell me anything.
I remember.
To being like, no, help, I'm willing to listen and try to understand and have a different perspective on, on my. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. God redeems.
Yes,
Yeah.
he does.
Well, once again, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll pray you have a great trip and see what God does with you, your husband, your kids, the whole thing. It's going to be amazing.
Yes, I have no doubt.
Yeah. All right.
So, thank
Thanks.
you.
You're welcome. And cut.